Good morning and welcome to the Tuesday, April 16th Board of County Commissioner meeting. We do begin each of our meetings with an invocation, and today Commissioner Gonzalez will lead us in that. If you would like to join, please do so.
Lord God and Father above, we thank you and praise you for all the great things you've given us. We ask for wisdom upon this group today. We thank you for the beauty that we have, but with the warmth and the winds, we ask for protection against wildfires and any other natural disasters may occur during this time. And we pray that we would just continue to thank you and praise you for the great things for our community, and that we do great things in your name. Amen.
Item number 3.
Item number 3 is staff emergency items, and I'm unaware of any staff emergency items today.
Item number 4.
Item number 4 is changes, postponements, and notice of the next meeting. I'm aware of one change to today's agenda. The board will take a brief recess after item number 6, and the next meeting will be Tuesday, April 23rd at 9:00 a.m.
Thank you. Item number 5.
Item number 5 is the consent calendar consisting of items 5A1 through 5Q4.
Are there any members of the public wishing to speak on any item on the consent calendar today? Any in the room? Okay, any online? Thank you. Commissioners, comments, questions, and a motion.
And I just have a quick comment. Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to express my appreciation for items Q, 3, and 4, and make note of the size of the dollar amounts. The first one is part of our asphalt pavement preservation program for over $5 million, and that's for chip seal and other material to be used to help make El Paso County roads better roads to drive on. And the second one is to work on the Acres Yard Drainage Improvements project that we need to do, which is essential for dealing with water quality issues, helpful for our MS4 permit, and an essential thing to do, and it'll be good for the area there in the northeast part of Colorado Springs area. So I just wanted to make note of the size of those contracts and the fact that I do support them. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Gonzalez.
Madam Chair, thank you. I'd just like to highlight item P and recognizing the retirement of Christopher and Adela Mott and their great years of service to the county and our community.
Thank you. Commissioner Geithner, were there any other comments? Commissioner Gonzalez, did you want to pronounce another proclamation on our consent calendar? Is that on today's, Jackie? Okay, thank you.
Okay.
All right.
I would move approval of the consent calendar.
I would second.
That has been moved and seconded. I'll call the roll. Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Vanderwerf.
Aye.
Commissioner Gonzalez.
Aye.
Commissioner Geithner. And Commissioner Geithner.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. The consent calendar passes 5-0. Item number 6.
Item number 6 is the proclamation recognizing Child Abuse Prevention Month. Cami Bremer, Chair, Board of County Commissioners.
Thank you. I would like to move the following proclamation, and as I do so, if I could have staff and anybody here in attendance for this item to make your way down front. Glad to see you all here today. I'll move the following proclamation recognizing Child Abuse Prevention Month. Whereas all children in our community deserve to be valued, healthy, and thriving. And whereas finding solutions for child abuse and neglect, a serious problem affecting every segment of our community, requires input and action from everyone because the well-being of our children today will shape the future of Colorado and our community. And whereas childhood trauma can have long-term psychological, emotional, and physical effects that have lasting consequences for victims of abuse and neglect. And whereas all parents and caregivers need support sometimes, and supporting children and families early is far less costly to society and individuals than healing from trauma. And whereas parents, caregivers, family, friends, neighbors, employers, and others can work together to grow the 5 critical protective factors in families' lives: parental resilience, social connections, concrete support in times of need, knowledge of parenting and child development, and social and emotional competence of children. And whereas community leaders, policymakers, and elected officials play a unique role in building a community for kids by understanding the programs and policies that support child maltreatment prevention, listening to parents' needs, and examining community planning through this lens that builds healthy communities. And whereas effective prevention efforts succeed because of partnerships, created among human service agencies, public health, the district attorney's office, schools, faith and civic organizations, the medical community, law enforcement and first responder agencies, the business community, nonprofits, and concerned citizens. And whereas everyone plays a role in preventing child abuse and neglect, helping to build thriving communities so that families and children may also thrive. Now, therefore, the Board of County Commissioners of El Paso County, Colorado, hereby proclaims April as Child Abuse Prevention Month in El Paso County. No matter where you live, everyone has the power to contribute towards a brighter tomorrow for all children. Done the 16th day of April, 2024, at Colorado Springs, Colorado. The Board of County Commissioners of El Paso County, Colorado, signed Cammie Bremer, Chair, Carrie Geithner, Vice Chair, Lojinos Gonzalez Jr., Stan Vanderwerf, and Holly Williams, members, and attested to by Steve Schleicher, County Clerk and Recorder.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner. Ms. Jones, please introduce yourself.
Thank you again for having us here this morning. I am Katanya Jones, the Children, Youth, and Family Services Director in DHS. I'm here to share a little more detail about the never-ending work at DHS towards the safety, permanency, and well-being of the children in our community. I also have some of our leadership team here. Not all of us, but it's a good chunk of us. Child safety is a cornerstone to a strong community and one that El Paso County embraces. We could not do so without the ongoing support from you and county leadership. Thank you for this opportunity. El Paso County is the busiest in the state in terms of child welfare and the children and the volume of casework. There are many to thank when it comes to helping families and children in our region. I want to thank our community and our community partners who play a critical role in helping to strengthen families and keep children safe. There are many professionals who are mandatory reporters, but many in the community also step up to report their concerns of abuse and neglect. Those living in El Paso County have caring hearts for those who are most vulnerable. As of April 2nd, we were at 5,749 calls that were made to the Child Abuse and Neglect Reporting Hotline about specifically El Paso County children. Not all of those turned into cases. We don't expect those calling to know what abuse or neglect looks like from our perspective, from criteria and statute. They only need to have a concern for that child. Every bit of information can help caseworkers see the bigger picture of what a family is experiencing. I want to thank DHS staff for helping to ensure child safety every day. Sometimes our involvement is to connect a family to additional resources. There are more extensive services in place to help families and children. We have, in El Paso County, we have specialty courts, one of which is Family Treatment Drug Court, the other is Well Baby Court. We're proud of those innovations. And we also have special teams focused on the at-risk youngest children, our 0 to 3 population. We brought pinwheels for you today and we'll be planting them outside after the proclamation. For more than a decade, pinwheel gardens have popped up in April around Colorado and the country as a national symbol of the bright and happy childhoods that we want for all children. Again, if you do have a concern about child abuse and neglect, if you suspect it, please call the hotline at 1-888-CO4-KIDS. This number is answered 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and calls are confidential. There are simple ways to support families in our community. It may be listening to a parent who is struggling or offering to babysit to provide a break. It does take all of us in our community to support our families. Thank you.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak? And actually, Katanya, if you wouldn't mind, just a quick introduction by name of your staff, just your staff members' first names, maybe.
I would like for them to come up here and just kind of do the round so that you really see the name, the voice, and the face. Is that all right?
Sure.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Christelle Sharp-Limary. I'm the Assistant Manager in Adolescent Services.
Excellent.
Good morning. I'm Stephanie Baker. I'm the Adolescent Services Manager for DHS.
Good morning. I'm Holly McCoy, Assistant Manager with Support and Services.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Jessica Hardwick, the In-House Services Manager.
Good morning. I'm Sandy Martnick. I'm the Core Services Program Manager.
Hello, Amber Biss. I'm a Permanent C Manager.
Good morning, Brooke Bjornberg, one of our intake managers.
Good morning, Dan Mills. I don't have a fancy blue jacket, but I really want one.
What do you do, Dan?
Intake manager.
Good morning, everyone. I'm the Assistant Manager for Family Treatment Drug Court.
And then we have two faces here that are familiar because, as we know, it takes so many of us to help our kids in our community. And so we have, come on, Asia, introduce yourself.
Asia Rosenthal, Director of Quality and Development Services,
And then we have old friends.
Good morning, Commissioners. Chris Garvin, retired DHS.
Your life work continues.
Sure. Always here to support.
Excellent. Thank you. Okay, are there any other members of the public wishing to speak on this item? Okay, I'll bring it up here for comments. Commissioner Vanderwerf.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. So, Chris, did you retire and now you're volunteering full-time without pay? Just a little bit, okay. Thanks for being here, and I obviously just thank you to all of you for everything that you do. You know, I have a story. I shared this once, maybe 3 or 4 years ago when we did a similar proclamation, but I think it's important to remember this story, but it's so relevant to what we talk about. But my best friend in high school, who I will not name, was abused by his dad, and he had 2 older brothers. One was an amazing athlete, and the other one was an amazing academician, a person that got great grades. And for him, his dad was never happy unless he did better than both of his 2 brothers together. And that was a very difficult situation, and he got excellent grades, and he was the center forward on the high school soccer team and was the highest scorer in goals, and it still was not enough for his dad, and he got abused. That really, really affected him. And I can remember that in high school, but what I really want to mention, because you all mentioned it just a few minutes ago, or it was in the proclamation, that this really affects and harms people for the long term. Really, really does. Because I can recall both of us in our mid-40s, I think it was at a high school reunion, and watching him have to leave the room and go off to a part of the hotel and cry. I mean, more than 20 years after, you know, the abuse that he received from his father, still was affecting him. So this is just really important to recognize the work that we do, to recognize Child Abuse Prevention Month, to really do everything we can to educate parents and families about the harm of child abuse. And it's just so important. You know, if you're having a bad day, you're a parent and you're having a bad day, man, please do not take it out on your kids. Go out in the backyard, do a little yelling and screaming, dig a big hole in the backyard or something. Do something to get your aggressions out from a bad day. Don't take it out on your kids. And there are resources, just like you folks, for people to go to and talk to and try to work through their anger. But taking it out on the kid is wrong, because that's permanent damage, and I've seen it personally. So I'll just again thank you to everything that you do. I look forward to planting the pinwheels, although I'm not going to plant this one out in front of the building here, because I'm going to put this one on my house, in the front yard of my house. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Williams.
Yes, I was trying to think of what I would say this morning, and in the past 3 months, I've had the opportunity to attend 2 events, specifically where someone who was a victim of child abuse spoke. And I wanted to talk about the one, this gentleman, his name is Rob Shear, and he was part of the Washington, D.C. foster care system way back in this 80s. And so this is not our foster care system. This is before really we became aware of what was necessary to place children into safe and secure homes. He was abused. He didn't have a family. And he was taken from his family, and he was so excited. He wanted to show up on the doorstep of his foster family. And he was really excited to show up on the doorstep of his foster family, and he showed up there, and the lady looked over at the child welfare worker and said, "Thank you, we'll take him." And didn't look down at him, didn't recognize him, didn't know who he was. And it was such a moving story, so they put him up in his bedroom. He wasn't allowed, when the family went out on vacation to Disney World, he was left home. When the family went out to eat or do something fun, he was left home. So he went from an abusive family to a family who really only wanted the check that they received for taking care of him. When he went to his high school, he was kicked out of the house in his senior year of high school as soon as that check stopped arriving to that family, and lived in a car, didn't have money for a high school graduating gown, but someone on the high school staff was kind enough to give him one. This man, after a year of successful career, or after many years of a successful career in the banking industry, he and his husband decided to start comfort cases, and they also adopted 4 of their own children. And he went around the nation. He goes around the nation giving this speech, very, very powerful speech. And then they make backpacks for children, because frequently when you're pulled out of a house, you leave with the clothing on your back. So they make backpacks for children and they gave them to RDHS. Very inspirational, but he was speaking at a seminar one day at a high school, and a kid came up and he said to him, "I'm you." And he said, "Well, what do you mean I'm you?" And he said, "I'm the person who's living in the car because the foster family kicked me out." And he and his husband immediately adopted that kid. They had to go to court to fight because they didn't want the money that came with that kid. They wanted that kid and that kid only. They didn't want the money that came from the government. So I only encourage people to, if you are struggling with parenting, seek out help. Ask. If you're a child, call our hotline. No one should have to grow up in a situation where they're abused. We have fantastic foster families, 2 of whom I know. And so seek out help. If you're struggling with raising your kids, whether it's from your church or from a therapist, seek out help and figure out what you can do to be a better parent. Parenting does not come with a handbook, I assure you that. Made plenty of mistakes on my own, and so I know that it didn't come with a handbook. And a lot of it's just trial and error. But if you are struggling in any situation, please seek out some help from someone who can help you so that your child can grow up with a healthy life. Thank you all for all that you do. We really, really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Gonzalez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's just wonderful to see you out here today, all the great work that you do. It's important work for support to our children and making sure that we're taking care of the vulnerable community that they are, and making sure that we can do as a community, and not just a county, but a community, all coming together to support them. We want to make sure that they are in a safe and loving environment, and that we can all come together. This week, I'm participating with CASA. I'm on the CASA board, so in many cases they get reintegrated with their family, and in other cases we see them move into a foster care situation. But the outcome is the same in terms of what we want, as to make sure that they're in a safe and loving environment, and that we can do what we can to support them. And you're at the front of that, making sure that we're doing that for our residents and for our children. And pray that you continue all the great work that we continue to see every year since I've been part of this board. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Geithner.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is always an important proclamation, and I think at least a couple of years I have shared that my husband grew up in a family that was abusive, and the impacts that has had to him as an adult, and the struggles that causes. And so, of course, we always want to do as much prevention as possible. But I really appreciate a couple of things that you said that I want to kind of hit on. And we've talked a bit about foster families and all those different pieces, and how important it is to strengthen families. That's really the core of this, right? When we have strong families and parents, then we are putting protective barriers around these kind of incidents, which none of us want to see. We don't want to just to be there in the moment where it's already happened, right? We want to see strong, thriving families so that we truly are preventing abuse. And I want to just point out as well, because oftentimes I think people think about DHS and child abuse prevention, and they think about you guys coming in and either taking kids or severe situations like that. But I think it's important that the work that you do and that the public knows the work that you do is to strengthen families, is to support families. And hopefully you're in there helping and providing resources that are causing the stresses and the things that sometimes can lead to unfortunate situations. I know as a military spouse, in being in a military community, when we have deployments and things where parents, moms, oftentimes, especially dads too, but are not getting respite, they're not getting a break, they're the only parent all the time. I know that those are some of the challenges, and as a military community, we would band together and we would make sure that we all had someone to call, and we would make sure that we we're attuned to our friends and our family around us. If they looked like they were having a hard day, if we could hear it in their voice that they were struggling, what could we do to help? And I think that so much of that relies or depends upon the community that you're involved with, which means you have to be plugged into a community, right? And so we know that community is also incredibly important, especially for our military families who do not often live near their family. So just so many of those other things that the public doesn't necessarily always think about when they think about child abuse prevention. They see a large group of DHS folks on how important that role is that we all play. Because, to Commissioner Williams' point, I think we have many amazing foster families. At the same point, being pulled away from what is your natural family is also traumatic at times. We want to avoid that too, if we can, right? So I just want to thank you all for the work that you do. It's so important. And that's what today is all about to me, is just reminding us all how much we all need each other, whether friends, churches, all of those different groups and those populations that we belong to support each other and care about each other in this very fast-paced world where we're all busy. There's lots to do to slow down and remember to be aware of and support, especially our young moms and dads. Thank you.
Thank you.
So well said, Commissioner Geithner. So there are many pieces of this proclamation that I really love. It's a little bit different than the one that we've done in the past, and that is because you have a very involved commission who's really understanding your work, understanding your impact in the community, and I think this, while it's just a piece of paper, it's a charge that you all are fulfilling very, very well. And my favorite part was the whereas that was about partnerships. And as I'm reading it out loud and trying to figure out where to put a breath in, because the extensiveness of who is involved in any one child's life in our community and involved in keeping them safe is extensive. So just very, very grateful for all those partners and organizations and community institutions that are kind of memorialized in this proclamation that we just did. I also wanted to thank you all for coming up and introducing yourselves. The scope even just from your introductions, your titles. It's very clear that that you operate in specialized fields with specialized knowledge of the people that you're working with, and that's huge. That helps us stay citizen focused and focused on the child and the child's needs by having you all know your role in what can be a complicated and devastating system if it's not done right and if everybody's not playing their role. So you all certainly do a great job of that, and I just wanted to thank you for that. I have said this story, I think, for 4 years or so in a row, but I'm going to say it one more time. The pinwheels are, they're supposed to symbolize a whimsical and happy, joyful childhood. But if you take a look at them, they're also very, very fragile and easily torn, easily degraded, squashed. I could go on, but shortly after I had taken on this role, I took one of these pinwheels home, and not too long after that, my child was looking for it, and it was squished behind a toy box. And so we had this conversation about, he just wanted to throw it away. He said, it's no good, and he was crying. And it kind of struck me that is perhaps how some of these children feel, that they've been stuck behind something blocking their way and squashing the life out of them in somehow, some way. So we kind of walked through delicately putting it back together, and just the symbolism of that continues to stick with me, and I will my entire life never look at a pinwheel the same. And I guess that's the point of these pinwheel plantings that are taking place across the country. You all have done a great job in the last few weeks. I've seen them pop up kind of everywhere. I know City Council has already done this same proclamation. Thank you for the work you're doing to bring attention to reminding us all that we have a role to play in building a whimsical childhood, and I'm excited that we each have something to add to that. So thank you for being here today, and with that, I will call the roll. Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Vanderberg.
Aye.
Commissioner Gonzalez.
Aye.
Commissioner Geithner.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. That passes 5-0. Congratulations. Thanks for being here. I think we're going to take a brief recess, and we will do our own pinwheel planting in front of Centennial Hall. And I think we'll just do the photos out there as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning and welcome back to the Board of County Commissioners meeting on Tuesday, April 16th. We are on item number 7.
Item number 7 is comments by elected officials and commissioner liaison reports.
Commissioner Williams. Any
Okay,
comments today?
I do have some comments. So I wanted to just mostly talk about my schedule. I did want to express some frustration with our state legislature, though. Over the past couple of years, we have watched as they have added things to the cost of building homes, the cost of building businesses, to make it way more expensive to buy homes. And now they expect us to take away the private personal property rights of individuals by fixing their mess and putting in accessory dwelling units. The thing that really made me angry about this was their method. If we don't do it, they will hold our highway user tax fund hostage. And there have been many years where with our low mill levy and our low tax rate in this county, sometimes the highway users tax fund is the only money we have had to give to our roads department and to help the amount of roads we have, which is in an unincorporated area in a county the size of the state of Delaware. So I don't appreciate the state legislature feeling that we aren't doing their job when they're the ones that created the darn mess to begin with. And so I just wanted to say that they needed to stop holding our funds hostage. If they want to run for county commissioner, they can certainly come down here and do that. They can also run for city council. But instead, they have decided that they wanted to go away from their state powers and mess in the local powers and the local authority of government. There is a reason why our school boards changed to conservative, and that is primarily because we don't trust the agenda of the liberal left. So, and there's a reason why our county commissioner board is conservative, and that is because we believe in personal private property rights and the ability to do with our house what we darn well please. And I don't think that forcing us to put accessory dwelling units in our backyard is fair to us or to any of the people who live in those neighborhoods. So I would certainly encourage them, including Representative Mark Snyder, to please vote against the House Bill 1313. I noticed that he actually went along with it, and we will hold him to account when he tries to run for the state Senate on that bill. So this week, unfortunately, we are losing our fantastic constituent service representative, Rebecca Rutter, and so we're going to miss her greatly. She has she has an amazing touch with our constituents who call in, and she can handle them and do a good job explaining to them or trying to fix the problem. She has also worked for a congressman and a senator, and she really knows her stuff, so I know wherever she's going to Tennessee, but I do know that if she chooses to go back in that industry, she will come with very high recommendations from all of us. And then I did want to this week is my light week. I did want to announce I'm participating in a performance by a choir called the Ascend Choir and Orchestra. It's called The Lamb of God. It is composed by Rob Gardner. Friday, April 19th at 7:30 and Saturday, April 20th at 1 p.m. at Wasson High School. And so I did want to announce if anyone wanted to come out for a very inspirational performance with a really fantastic orchestra and choir, that they might really enjoy that. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Vanderwerf.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to express my appreciation for Commissioner Williams' comments with regard to House Bill 1313. And I appreciate your bringing up Mark Snyder, although I can tell you he's going to vote for it. He's already been supporting it. And this is housing in transit-oriented communities. It will affect Colorado Springs and El Paso County. It will increase density along transit corridors, and those transit corridors are essential to ensure that we can have proper evacuations from fires in the Colorado Springs area. And the people that write this bill just are interested in a one-size-fits-all for the entire state, not recognizing that we have a much higher risk here in Colorado Springs than Denver has with regard to forest fires, and we need these highways and other high-capacity roads to be free of broader and deeper densities. But this bill forces that upon Colorado Springs and other communities across the state. But this is just another example of taking local authority away from local land use, and who else better than local government to decide what is good for their community. The state doesn't have a better ability than local government to do that, so this is just taking local authorities away and centralizing it in Denver. Also, this cycle, but on many previous cycles, we've received continuous numbers of unfunded mandates that are awful. It's almost overwhelming. It's almost too many to name this cycle. It's just huge. But I will bring one up in particular, the assault weapons ban that passed the third reading on the House and is over to the Senate. I am asking all of our senator friends in the state Senate to vote against this assault weapons ban. This is a terrible bill. It would actually ban 80% of all guns. It would not allow anybody to sell a gun. It would not allow anybody to buy a gun. And I tell you, in addition to this just being wrong and unconstitutional, what it's going to do is it's going to drive weapons sales, transfers, and ownership underground. And then we're going to end up with an underground black market on guns in Colorado as a result of this law. And then the other problem with this law is it just punishes law-abiding citizens. Does anybody that supports this bill have any possible thought that a criminal or lawbreaker or somebody that intends to do harm with a gun is going to not harm somebody because they're afraid that they might violate this law? That's a ridiculous assertion on its face. Laws like this just make our communities less safe, not more safe. We should be actually supporting law-abiding citizens that own guns, and we should be punishing criminals that commit violent crimes with guns. And certain members of our legislature are doing exactly the opposite of that in both of those cases. So we're just going to continue the fight, but I do know one thing for sure. I am not giving up. The one thing that we have to do is keep fighting, because if we give up, then we lose. So I'm going to keep fighting. All right, later today, I'll be going to the Colorado Springs Public Art Commission meeting, one of my assigned commissioner liaison assignments. And then tomorrow, I'll be attending the State Board of Health. We'll have another meeting. This will be our April meeting. And then Fountain Creek Watershed District meeting will be the morning of Friday the 19th. I'll be going to that. And also Thursday at 6 p.m., I'll be going to the UCCS Engineering Center for the Anschutz ribbon cutting ceremony. Looks like a few of my fellow colleagues will be going there as well. And then on Monday the 22nd will be our next retirement board meeting for the retirement funds for El Paso County employees. And then the Workforce Consortium Board at 1 o'clock on Monday. And then I'll be going to the Pikes Peak Roundtable Dinner Monday evening starting at 5 p.m. That's all I have, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Gonzalez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I want to start off also, as mentioned, saying an early goodbye to Rebecca, who's done such great work for us, and especially all the people up here. And just want to thank her for all her great service to the county and our community. I want to highlight, I did attend the National Planning Conference in NPC 24 as a guest speaker, and was presented and discussed on the issue of rapidly growing areas like El Paso County and Colorado Springs, and the importance of proper planning in light of an environmentally rich area, but resource-constrained region as well, especially as it relates to water. We'll be attending, I mentioned earlier, CASA, the Light of Hope luncheon fundraiser this Thursday. I'm looking forward to that as well. And I will highlight as well, as already been mentioned by a couple other county commissioners, the concerns over the state legislature legislature. Really, so many bad decisions being made and pushed here. When they clearly understand that several, if not all of the anti-gun, anti-Second Amendment bills are going to be overturned, but they know it's going to take several years for that to occur. So they're going to push them through anyways, even knowing that several of these are unconstitutional and will clearly be overturned over time, and other issues related to unfunded mandates and land use, taking away the local control from the cities and the municipalities who are all opposed to this, like they were last year, for decisions. And I appreciate the comments from Commissioner Williams there on the land use, getting it started. I'll be a little more blunt. Threatening to take away the highway user fund, arm twisting, extortion from the state, trying to make these changes, and the negative effects, unintended consequences, things that are very predictable. And this is very predictable because when they talked about this last year, it was brought up at our local PPRTA. The mandate on the transit and the housing associated to those mandates are based on transit bus hubs that occur at 15-minute intervals. Well, guess what was discussed last year? Potentially Colorado Springs changing their routes from 15 minutes to 20 minutes. And who's going to be punished and hurt from that move to avoid the mandate? Those that can least afford to have it, and will have to spend more time. The poor, the lower income, who need those transit hubs every 15 minutes, now every 20 minutes, and now they're going to have less availability for that because of the stupidity at the state. Thank you.
Commissioner Geithner.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Lots of great comments this morning, so I'll try and keep mine to a shorter length since so much has been discussed, but I do want to acknowledge Rebecca Rutter, as others have. She has just been such a tremendous asset. We care very deeply about answering constituent questions and making sure that our constituents are well served. And it can be very difficult when we're attending many meetings to get quick answers and respond as quickly as we'd always like. And so Rebecca has been just critical to helping us bridge that gap when necessary so that we can provide excellent service to our constituents. And she will be greatly missed. She is fantastic. I do, though, also want to just briefly touch on the assault weapons ban. The assault weapons ban, because it has nothing to do with assault weapons, as Commissioner Vanderwerf mentioned. And I think the part that upsets me most on this is that it specifically would ban the sale of firearms that are commonly used by women in particular in self-defense. And these are handguns. These are not rifles that you would think of when you hear assault weapons, even though there's truly no definition for that. It would affect 10 out of the 11 most currently used firearms that women use to protect themselves. So that is very concerning to me as a female. It would ban the sale of the firearms that my family and myself use. That's very concerning to me. And so I don't want us to be fooled, as we often are, by legislators who aren't telling us the truth. Just like when we talked about Proposition HH, and we talked about, there was an attempt to say this was going to give you relief, and really it was taking more money away. We have to be very careful because labels are not always accurate, and that's the case in this particular case as well. I also wanted to just touch on yesterday and thank our Douglas County commissioners who at the kind of last minute invited us to participate in a press conference yesterday in Douglas County to talk about the lawsuit that we entered into last week. And so I was grateful to be able to get up there yesterday morning and participate with them. It's good to see counties coming together and making strong statements about what's happening in our state. And then I also want to mention that I did a ride-along yesterday. Incredibly grateful to the Sheriff's Office. Did some traffic enforcement, particularly in Falcon, so on the Woodman Road area, and then Rex and Meridian, where there is currently construction going on. So I want to remind folks, slow down. We know that speed is a huge problem when it comes to fatalities in particular, but crashes all around. Slow down. I know everyone's busy. We have important places to go, but it is very important that we all slow down and get there safely. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Much of what is on my schedule has already been mentioned by others. I wanted to thank Commissioner Gonzalez for inviting us to the CASA luncheon. He is hosting the table there. So looking forward to activating on some of the importance of some of the things we talked about in our earlier proclamation today. Also, you know, you've heard some comments about Rebecca Rudder, and I think just the fact that that all the commissioners are mentioning the fact that she is departing our office shortly. It says a lot. She's really transformed the way that this board can interact with those we serve. And she's just an excellent representation of us on that, works closely with getting thorough answers, not just pushing off to other agencies. She will follow an issue all the way through. And she's just been a joy to work with, and it has really transformed the way that I feel like citizens can interact with us. And several of my other commissioners mentioned when we're in meetings all day, it is very difficult to respond in a timely way, and Rebecca's helping us do that and multitask in a way that brings the best customer service to those of you who are our customers. So we will miss her dearly, and I think there's a bit of irony that she prepares all of these proclamations and certificates of appreciation and other things, and so we couldn't ask her to do her own. So she's getting a shout out here today, but we will miss her dearly and wish her the best in her retirement. I think with that, I will just wrap up my comments. Any other elected official comments? Any online? Thank you. Okay. Item number 8.
Item number 8 is community service organization reports, and there are none.
Item 9.
Item number 9 is public comment on items not scheduled on the agenda. This is the public's opportunity to speak on an item that is not scheduled on today's agenda. And Madam Chair, we didn't have anyone sign in ahead of time to speak.
Thank you. Do we have anyone in the audience wishing to speak on any item not on today's agenda? Hearing none, and none online. Item number 10.
Item number 10 is the called up consent calendar, and there are no items called up.
Item 11.
Item number 11 is department and committee reports, non-action items, and there are none.
Item 12.
Item number 12 is the addendum, and there is no addendum today.
And real quickly, I'm actually going to call my own redo on item number 7. I did want to remind our citizens that we're at very high wind warnings over the next few days, and have been over the last few weeks, and at the same time very dry. That is a perfect storm for wildfires. Please be aware of your surroundings, be aware of how you can help the prevention efforts, and just realize that we live in a very dry Colorado, and we're heading into a dry spring with very high winds. Thanks for paying attention to that. Item number 13.
Item number 13 is the executive session, 13A, pursuant to CRS 246402, 4B and E. The County Attorney's Office is requesting an executive session regarding potential litigation stemming from a rear-end auto accident involving Andrew Haggard and EPSO Sergeant Jared Harmon. The purposes of the executive session include 1, conference with the County Attorney's Office for the purpose of receiving legal advice on specific legal questions related to a potential litigation matter, and 2, determining positions relative to matters that may be subject to negotiations, developing strategy for negotiations, and instructing negotiators. Brian Schmid, Senior Assistant County Attorney.
I move we go into executive session for the purposes stated on the record.
And I'll second.
That has been moved and seconded. Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Vanderwerf.
Aye.
Commissioner Gonzalez.
Aye.
Commissioner Geithner.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. That passes 5-0. We will be in executive session upstairs.